Welcome everyone. My name is Gabrielle Harris. I have the pleasure of being the interim Parity Project Program Manager, and I am joined on the stage with our lovely panelists for the Parity Project Innovation Challenge 2003. We look forward to answering any questions you have. We really look forward to you being a part of the solution of creating parity in Black America, and we want to hear your amazing thoughts and innovations. So let's kind of jump in to talk more about what we do, how you can be a part of this movement, and the Alpha cohort. So without further ado, allow me to introduce Shane. Shane is a member of our team with HeroX, the site and platform that we host this challenge. He is an integral part of our team in providing this challenge and many other innovation challenges that Base 11 hosts. We're so proud and happy to have him work on this project and innovation challenge with us this year again. Next, we have Chanda Lawrence, a member of our Alpha cohort for the Parity Project Innovation Challenge 2002. We heard her amazing vision for the future with her proposal Microhaven, and I look forward to talking more to her about that soon. Next, we have our amazing guest, Keontae Bush. He too is a member of Parity Project Innovation Alpha cohort, the winners of our challenge last year. He brought to us his vision for with Venture for Them, which is a way for businesses to get funding, venture capitalist funding, and also work together to have their dreams and applications brought to life. And last but certainly not least, we have President Tennille Jones, President and CEO of Base 11, and the real birther of this amazing challenge. I mean, she was here from the inception. So without further ado, let her take the mic and introduce what we're going to do today. And thank you.
Thank you, Gabby. I will keep this quick, sweet and short, because I don't want to steal any of your thunder. And we're really here to hear from here today to hear from the Alpha cohort. So I did help put the challenge together, our first year of the challenge. But I will say and give all credit, obviously, to Landon Taylor, who is the founder of Base 11. And he really came together with the Boulé to look at this vision relative to Black America. So the Boulé, if you all don't know, and thank you so much for joining us. I just want to say how glad I am to have all of you here with us. But the Boulé is the oldest Black Greek professional fraternity. And they have come along this journey with Base 11 to make sure that we have economic parity for Black America. And we started this initiative in 2020. It is called the Parity Project, and it's continued to develop since then. We have launched our first year of the Parity Project Innovation Challenge. And as Gabby said, we have our cohort, our Alpha cohort on today. We have 4 people that won our grand prize and 4 additional finalists last year. So we are gearing up for year 2. It is launched. Gabrielle is going to take you through the guidelines and some of the prizes and what you can do to get involved. And this is meant, as Shane said earlier, just to be a conversation. What can you do to get involved? How can we help you better understand how you can bring your idea to fruition? It is for America, not just Black America, but we want to lean into this to help achieve 13.4% representation in STEM and entrepreneurship. So basically economic parity for Black America. So with that, I just thank everyone for attending. Gabby, I'm going to hand it back over to you, and thank you for hosting today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for that amazing introduction for what the Parity Project is and why this challenge is so important. So we've gone through our welcome. I welcome everyone in. Just as a fun tidbit, I see we have more people in the chat. If you could go ahead and in the chat, tell where you're from, what university, where you work, just what state, we would love to hear that. And let's jump right in. So without further ado, I really want to talk some more about how to submit the challenge guidelines, if that's okay. So I'll just go ahead and share my screen with everyone. Also, please know that at the end of this discussion, you'll be able to, I'll be sending over a slide deck with all of this information and steps to submit. But what you'll see here is there's a link in this in this slide deck that you'll see, and it'll take you directly to the HeroX landing page for the Parity Project Innovation Challenge 2003. As you can see here. Here's where all of your questions can be answered, any information you'll need. This will be the source guide for you. As you can see here, this button says how do you begin the entry. This is where you'll click. We won't go there yet. Let me go ahead and take you to the challenge overview. President Jones definitely touched base on this in great detail, but this just tells you about what the Parity Project Innovation Challenge is. It is a showcase of the talents of innovators like yourselves, and we want to hear about your vision for the future. We'll scroll down here. You'll see, of course, the showcase touch points. If you're selected as a winner, we'll be attending and going, more detail into that. But let's get into who can participate. That's a big question. Everyone wants to know. So there is an age requirement. We're accepting submissions from those who are high school juniors, grade 11, all the way up to age 34, early career adults. Please note, if you are under the age of 18, we will require that your legal guardian or your parent is the one to submit your proposal on your behalf, and they will be the one to register with HeroX, this platform, just so you know, and they'll give you some more information and details here. Please note that those who are eligible to participate, there is a geographical requirement. Those who are residents and citizens of the United States, United Kingdoms, and the Bahamas. And please note that in this challenge, which is different from some of our other challenges, that we do not accept group submissions. Individual submissions are the only ones that we'll be accepting. But that does not mean that you can't collaborate with folks and give them credit for your proposal. Okay, and how to submit. We had a question at the top of the hour. So January 19th is the early submission deadline, which means if you have a proposal, you've been working on your proposal since we launched in November, for example, you have great ideas and you want to be able to put your proposal in front of the eyes of the judges before the final submission to get feedback, you can do so. All you'll need to do is go back to the top of this screen here, bring you back up. Okay, all you need to do is submit here. You'll submit there. We'll be able to see in our back end, all those who've submitted before January 19th, we'll be able to review and give you any feedback that you may require. That will allow you to beef up your proposal, answer any of the questions the judges may have, so that you give yourself the best chance, to submit a winning, wonderful proposal. I mean, right? Anything I might have missed, President Jones or Shane, on that point, feel free.
The only thing I'll add is this website is great. Once you guys create an account and sign up, I do recommend you work on your submission elsewhere, like in Word or a Google Doc, but you can still save your progress on the website. And so you can edit all the way up until that early submission deadline. And if you've hit submit completely for the whole way by that point, we'll be able to review it and give feedback to you. But once we give that feedback, you just go back into the exact same place on the website. And even though you've hit submit already, just hit edit submission, it'll withdraw it. You're able to change some things, then you can hit submit again before the final deadline.
Thank you so much, Shane. And if you have any other questions about early submission, please feel free to enter those in the Q&A section, and we'll come back to them at the end of our webinar. Okay, thank you. What else would I note? Oh, there was a question. Someone submitted I received photocopies of a submission. Please note that all submissions must be entered into HeroX's platform. We're not able to receive submissions via email or another platform than this, so please do so. That would be very helpful and appreciated. Also, we'll note that if you are chosen to be a finalist, in this challenge, please be prepared to develop a pitch presentation that is a requirement of the finalists, and that is the last round of the competition before we select winners. So please keep that in mind. And let's scroll down. You'll see Jasmine here, Jasmine Vaucus. She's presenting to JP Morgan and Chase last year. We see our beautiful cohort here. Okay, let's go down. So prizes, I'll touch on prizes. There is a total grant amount of $10,000. Now this is dispersed, and I'll show you how this is. So for the the high school juniors and seniors category, as you can see, there's a first, second, and third place prize allotted. Pretty self-explanatory. There's discretion for the high school student, depending on age. For the first place, you may be invited to the grand prize showcase, but that is tentative, and it's not something that is mandated for all juniors. It just depends on circumstances and age of availability. But for our college and university students and early career adults, first prize will receive the $1,750 plus a spot to join us for a grand prize showcase, where we'll meet with executives of JP Morgan and Chase, the Executive Leadership Council in DC, the White House, and many more. So this is kind of our, you're able to pitch your idea and hopefully get, a great sounding board to better your idea into a business formation, or even possibly find, people who want to invest in your idea. So that's amazing. Second prize is the same across the board. Second place will receive $1,000 cash prize, and then the third place will receive $500. And I say cash prize, but honestly, it's like you'll receive a deposit in your bank account. So we're not giving out cash, but you'll receive it in your bank account. It'll be different. Okay, so let's scroll down here. So we talked briefly about the grand prize showcase, but these are the locations that we're going to be discussing and pitching to for the finalists. For the first prize winners. Here, if you'll note, we will not be visiting Sigma Pi Phi Fraternity this year, but those who win the first prize package will be attending next year's winners to San Diego, California for the Grand Boulé. So you won't miss the opportunity to meet Sigma Pi Phi fraternities members, but it will be next year. So please keep that in mind. Here you'll see kind of where we went last year and get a feel for those places and locations. And let's scroll down. I won't talk timeline here too much because we'll go to this tab for that, but that is also here. And then this is what I wanted to really talk more about, the judging criteria. So out of 100 points, you can see that there's 4 main criteria for judging that is universal across the board for all submitters. And the first question is the problem analysis. Have you addressed economic disparity in this proposal? And we're looking for your ideas on how to create economic parity for Black America and Black Americans. So keep that in mind. That's important to note. We want to hear about your proposed solution. How effectively does this address the problem, your proposal? And how are you going to use science and technology to address this problem in an innovative way? By no means does this require you to be a science or STEM major or have ever taken classes in the topic, but we're looking to see how you would use science and technology to address this problem. And then the implementation, is it feasible? We all talk about SMART goals. So what does that mean? Is it feasible? Is there, how will you measure your success? Is there a timeline? So think about that. And then last, the planned outcomes. How impactful and justified are your outcomes? So if that gives you any clarity on how you'll be scored, please keep these in mind when you're creating your final submission. And if you have any questions, you have the opportunity to enter your proposal until January 19th to get that feedback. Okay, and then that's it for this one. Let's jump to timeline really quickly. The timeline. So we noticed here, January 17th, awesome, that's us today. So we see we have 2 days for the deadline to early submit for feedback. The next deadline will be March 7th. That's a Tuesday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You have to submit your final proposal for the challenge. The weeks of March 8th through March 27th, that's when we'll be doing the work. We'll be reviewing your submission, judging to pick the finalists. After the finalists are announced on March 28th, we will send out the congratulations to all the finalists and let them know the day for them to present to our judges. And then by May 4th, we will have 3 winners? 3 winners? Yes, 3 first place winners, and then we'll be able to send you all the information, the congratulations. We'll have a webinar similar to this, where we'll have all the finalists on stage and they will all know who has won, and it's really exciting. So that's kind of the parameters of the challenge. As I mentioned before, there is going to be a nifty slide deck that you'll have with the links to this information, how to access this page, and thank you. So I'll stop here. Stop sharing. Ooh, hi. That was good. So I see we have lots of chats in here. Okay, let's see. Lots of questions. Okay. So at this point, if Shane or President Jones has anything they would like to add at this point before we hit the Q&A, I would love to give the space for that to happen. I'll go on mine.
Sure. I just want to first of all say that I've probably been looking down during half of this, Gabby, though you gave great information, because I've been engaged in the chat too. So I love the representation that we have from all over, from folks today, from academic institution representation of deans, counselors, professors, all the way to the students and early career adults. So I'm excited for you to address the questions. I will just have or make a quick add relative to the prizes. You did mention that we'll provide cash prizes, but also the real value or magic about what happens, and we'll be talking with our Alpha cohort today, is in the trip and the leaders that they get to talk to nationwide and the developments of their ideas, and seeing that as they progress on the trip, seeing their ideas take place, come to fruition, continued evolution, including additional sponsorships, partnerships, and the like. I will say that through that, not only are they meeting with national leaders and have the opportunity for great feedback, this is also meant to be a cultural experience. So, we understand that this is the first time that some participants are even traveling. We want them to be mentored by each other and by others. We have visited in the past places like Busboys and Poets and the National African American Museum in DC. So it's also really about you having a cultural experience as well. I think that's all I wanted to add, Gabby, and also wanted to acknowledge Doug Bender, who's online, Al Bunshaft, yes, that's right, board member who's online, Al Bunshaft, Doug Bender, who's our chairman. They are out there fielding chats and comments and questions, and I so appreciate them. And Doug is also a member of the Boulé. And with that, I'd like to say that we do appreciate the partnership of JP Morgan Chase, as well as the ELC Executive Leadership Council. These are some of the likes of the people that you will be in front of to be able to pitch your idea. So thanks, Gabby, for letting me add that.
Thank you so much. That's such a valuable addition. Yes, it is experience. It is an experience. And if Shane, if you have anything to add on to that, yep. Let's go.
Sure. I can even just answer a couple of questions that were here really quick that are about the participation process, and then maybe we jump over to our Alpha cohort and hear about their experience in this. But let's see here. One of the questions we got right now was that, I'll click answer live here. It's that about the age restrictions on this challenge. We do have this challenge targeted at people beginning in their career, so that's why there is an age cutoff at 35. If you are above that, that would make you ineligible as far as I understand. However, this person also asked if their 15-year-old son would be able to submit. And I believe that there would need to be some clarification there, but we have had high schoolers submit to this challenge last year, and there is a category for that. And so I think as long as they would fit into those criteria, they could submit, if that's correct, President Jones.
Yes, so thanks for that, Shane. It is wholly correct with a couple of notes. So the challenge goes through high school juniors up to age, early career adults up to age 34. We have, to your point, Shane, made an exception in the past for a 15-year-old submitter who actually ended up winning the grand prize for the high school competition. So what I would do is encourage you, if you are fairly close to either side of those limits, on the low side or the high side, excuse me, of those age ranges or grade ranges, to go ahead and submit, and then we will take it from there on a case-by-case basis.
Sounds good, President Jones. And then another person asked about saying that they are an undergraduate senior and president of a renewable energy company, but they're not sure whether they should apply as a student or entrepreneur since they are both. Asking if one category is more competitive or the other. Any feedback there?
Yikes. Well, Keontae, I almost want to, I have to think about that. It's a really great question, but Keontae, I'm going to defer to you, who's in our alpha cohort, because Keontae actually was an entrepreneur, is an entrepreneur, but also submitted within the college category, which spanned undergrad to graduate degree students.
Yeah, definitely. I can hop in really quickly. I would say so. Of course, I did apply within the collegiate realms, but still, as an entrepreneur, I still weighed heavily with additional details regarding that within my application process, because essentially the business that I was building was the basis of my Parity project. And we can get more into that. I think that was a question that I saw in the chat, so I don't want to spoil it too much with this one. But all that to say, I would say lean to maybe more what you think would more so favor you. I know, because I was still in college, as far as my MBA program, I felt as though I could leverage that in some type of way, maybe, and then also still speak to my entrepreneurial experience with the business that I was building. So I would say it's up to your discretion, but I think whether you would lean more toward the collegiate side or the postgraduate side, and then definitely leverage the experience that you've had as an entrepreneur, the skills that you've built, or the risk that you've taken throughout that process, and just all the good stuff that you've experienced throughout that entire journey, and put that all in the application. And so definitely leverage it regardless of which side you may lean toward, whether it be a graduate student, postgraduate, and so forth.
And Chanda, you were a graduate student, but you actually applied as an early career adult. So can you just give any, short insight as to why you went to one category versus the other?
Right. So I went to, mostly because of my age, because I'm a little bit older. When I competed, I was 32, and so I felt like I fit the category for young professional more appropriately than the collegiate student. And also, because I'm a grad student and not an undergrad, I thought it was more appropriate for me to participate in the young professional category.
Thanks, Chanda.
Awesome stuff. Thank you both. Then one last quick question is just someone asking if they can include audio, video, and visuals in their submission. The main thrust of your visual component is that there's an optional pitch deck you can include, I believe, which is sort of a teaser for what you would do if you were selected to go on to the next pitching round. You'll have a chance to improve it, but you can give us a summary there. I have to check. I think in the text boxes, you still can include images, like an embedded image, but that's the majority of it. And then finally, this might be a good transition into asking our cohort members a few more questions, but someone wanted to ask both of you if you could tell us a little bit about the problem you targeted, and then if you could just suggest any tips in terms of how was the experience of participating in this challenge, and what did you do or what did you find helpful for structuring a well-reasoned argument? And we'll get into some follow-up questions there. Maybe tell us first about what you selected and then how you approached it. Not all at once.
I'll go first. So the problem that I tackled is homelessness, specifically in the Black community. Homelessness, as we all know, is a huge problem. And I've lived in some big cities like Chicago, Denver, and currently Baltimore that are greatly affected by homelessness. So this problem resonated with me a lot. And so my solution to homelessness is a project that I called Microhaven, and Microhaven actually uses blockchain technology to fund permanent supportive housing for people experiencing homelessness. And so what permanent supportive housing is not only shelter, but resources that help prevent people experiencing homelessness from returning to the streets. So mental health therapy, drug and alcohol abuse counseling, just having a safe place to stay is preventative measures to help prevent people from returning to the streets. And so what really helped me, I think with my pitch and my overall submission was looking up the statistics of like how many people are experiencing homelessness, what percentage of that is African American, how much it costs the community per person per year due to homelessness, and then putting it not like you want to use like an emotional aspect to your pitch, because these are things that really affect the Black community, but at the same time you want to use logic and statistics as well. And so kind of crafting your story so that it's like showing the emotional and moral aspects to the problem, but also being analytical at the same time and saying like this is the monetary value of what the problem costs, and this is the monetary value of like the solution, and being able to compare those, showing the cost benefits to both the problem and the solution. And yeah, I think that's really what helps me. If you're not so Keontae has an MBA, so he's a business expert. I'm not a business expert, but I did do some entrepreneur competitions at my university. And so what kind of helped me craft my pitch presentation was the business canvas. I think it's business canvas model. And then there's a book called The Minimal Viable Product. I forget who wrote it, but it's a quick read, or you can like listen to the audio book if you're on the go. But knowing how to like pitch like products that are feasible and solutions that are feasible, I think is a really good selling point. And then of course, just going through the actual PPIC competition page and making sure that you answer each question. That should be your first, like make an outline, answer each question, and then fill in the gaps with like your statistics, with your ethos, with your altruistic like components, and then that's kind of the best way to create like a well-rounded story. So hopefully that was clear enough.
Thank you, Chana. That was perfect. That was super clear, and you gave a lot of great resources. And you did mention that Keontae up here has the MBA. So, sir, could we ask you if you want to answer that question or touch base?
Yeah, definitely. Shanda gave so many gems, but I can see what I have left for you guys. But this is a bit of a backstory. The problem that I was tackling was the lack of representation, the lack of exposure for minorities within the venture capital space. And so out of billions of dollars invested into businesses all across the world, all across America, only a minute percent, a minute portion is provided, to sustain and to fund Black-owned businesses, brown-owned businesses. And so that's what my project, my Parity Project intended to accomplish. And so it's called Venture for Them, which is also a business that I'm building in. So the name of it, THEM, is an acronym meaning Tech High Performers and Entrepreneurial Minorities. And so as Gabby had said earlier, our goal is to help just bring those visions, those ideas of Black and brown businesses and entrepreneurs to life. And so what we do is it's a 4-month program. And aside from the grants that we provided over $10,000 in grants to Black and brown entrepreneurs. So that's a big one for us. But aside from that, we also connect them to mentors. We connect them to workshops. We have social events local in the DC area to get people in person and maybe meet your next co-founder, your next investor, and so forth. And we know that that's especially crucial in the DMV area, which doesn't always quite get as much love in the tech and VC space as maybe, the West Coast or maybe even like New York, for instance. And so that was really our goal, to just all of these unheard and overlooked entrepreneurs, to really give them a platform and help take them to the next level. And that's truly how I feel, can help to bridge parity, bridge the wealth gap through, tech advancement, and just going on to build these next billion-dollar companies that can be reinvested into communities. And so all that to say, I think Chanda really hit the nail on the, how do you say it again? The nail on the nose. I can't remember.
Nail on the head.
Nail on the head. There it is. Nail on the head. And so she touched base on so many awesome components. So at the foundational level, I feel like, of course, just making sure that you cover all of the requirements. Definitely making sure that you do that. I would say also she talked about how ethos, logos, and pathos. I'm sure we remember those from school, and not just focusing on the emotion of it, but leveraging the emotion and making sure people realize why is this important. This is important to me. I'm passionate about it, but from an emotional standpoint, why does this matter to you? Why does this matter to your life, even if not directly? And so aside from that, also the logic of it, the analytics of it. So when we think about SMART, being specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time bound, I think that that's one thing that you really want to leverage in your application, setting those actual timelines. Here's what I want to accomplish, but what's the timeline of it? So it's not just a great idea that I'm not necessarily enacting on, and also specific and measurable. What's my actual measurable goal? So when you hear President Jones talking about base 11, she talks about a specific percentage, that we at least want to hit as the baseline. And so I think making sure that things are measurable from your standpoint, and just, actual in number and percentage and so forth. I think that that's super critical. One thing that really helped me, I feel as though, is I was also in a program prior to this one where they were able to give us a pitch coach. And so I think even if you don't have a pitch coach, maybe just watching YouTube videos or getting around somebody that is maybe a great public speaker, I think that can help just to building your pitch and building your pitch deck so that you can know all the essential components of what I need in this deck that I'm going to submit to base 11. It might not always be the most pretty thing. You might not be super creative with the colors and the designs, but just making sure that you have that meat of it all, the bones of it all, that foundation of it. And so I think that that's super important. And lastly, I would say, aside from leveraging, the SMART process and pitch coaches and so forth, also just leveraging the art of storytelling, leveraging the art of storytelling. Only you can tell your story, whatever your goal, your objective for the Parity Project is your personal story. How does this relate to me? So Chanda, I love how Chanda touches base on why homelessness is so critical to her. And you can just see her face light up and the passion light up about it. And so, everybody has something like that just makes you light up. And so for me, it's just technology, it's startups working on what's the next big idea, what's the next big app, how can I play a role in helping that overlooked entrepreneur get to the next level. That gets me excited. So think about what gets you excited, but also like what from a tangible component can I actually enact on to put this in a better position. So leverage that art of storytelling, let that passion shine through and get other people excited about it. It might take time to get other people excited about what you're super excited about, but if they see your passion, they're going to be like, I don't know what you're even talking about, but I want to hear more. Like I love when Jasmine talks about, just the digital twins, and people are like, what in the world is digital twins? But you just see that passion shine through and she brings it on home. And now you're like, all right, I need to hear more. So art of storytelling, leverage that as well. But that's all I got for the moment.
Incredible, Keontae. Thank you so much. And also on the HeroX website, you definitely will be able to meet the alpha cohort. You'll also have the opportunity to look at their pitch decks that they used and their winning decks. If you want some kind of inspiration on the outline or how it can look, please feel free to do that to give yourself a touch base, a baseline for what it is that we're looking for. Or if you're curious about their projects and their businesses, please feel free to do that. I wanted to ask you both a little bit about, you touched on how you submitted the process for submission, but I would love to know a little bit more about like your overall experience from finding the challenge to the trip to like the Bahamas. Can you tell us about that? I know that's a lot of time, but if you could.
I'll go first again. So I'll try to like keep everything chronological, but so I actually pitched my microhaven idea to a competition at my university, and I didn't get picked to compete. And so I thought maybe this idea is a little bit too into the future or something. But then I received an email from my fellowship, the Meyerhoff Fellowship. I don't know if there's any Meyerhoff fellows out there, but yeah, it was about the Parity Project Innovation Challenge. And I went to the HeroX page, and I read about the competition, and I was just like, oh, I should do this. But like, because I got rejected from the competition at my university, I had like a lot of doubt that competing would even like be worth it. But it wasn't until like the day that the application was due, and maybe like 2 hours before the deadline, and I was just like, something in me was just like, just submit it, because I had already did most of the work anyway, having to try to compete in the other competition. So I just reformatted, I went through the page and made sure I answered all the questions, and then I submitted, and then I got picked as a finalist, and then I won. And so it was just like kind of like mind-blowing, honestly, because I never expected to win. I expected, okay, maybe they'll like the idea and I'll become a finalist, but having won, I was just like, wow, this is incredible. And it really boosted my confidence. And it kind of like I've always experienced imposter syndrome, especially being a Black woman in STEM. I'm actually getting my PhD in chemistry, and there's not a lot of representation for people like me in what I'm doing. And so I always suffer from imposter syndrome. But winning this competition really opened my own mind, and I was just like, maybe I'm capable of doing more than like I expect myself to. And so the first stop was New York, and I met like everyone from the Alpha cohort and from the Base 11 team, and everyone was so kind and welcoming, and like I just felt like, okay, I found my tribe. And so we pitched to JP Morgan Chase, and that was incredible, just an incredible experience. And then we went to DC, and then we pitched to the at the White House and the Executive Leadership Council, and those experiences were just amazing. Like my colleagues at my university are still like, they call me like the entrepreneur of the department, and they're like, oh, what invention do you have this week, or like and so yeah. And then later that summer we went to the Bahamas, and that was so cool. The Bahamas is like so beautiful, and just more great like memories and experiences, being able to pitch. And since then I actually pitched to the mayor's office of homeless services in Baltimore, and I've just been like expanding my network and trying to really fund this project and get it off the ground. And so yeah, I don't want to take up too much time, but just the whole experience has just been like so fantastic and just like inspirational to me and to the people I work with. I have coworkers who are gonna submit for this year's competition. I'm kind of coaching them to help them with their pitch. And so yeah, it's just like really, and one of the things I really wanted to mention though is my network has expanded greatly. Like now I'm getting potential job offers, potential postdoc offers, and like the people I met are just like, it's just invaluable, like the amount of networking opportunities that you're gonna gain from just competing in this competition. So hopefully I didn't take too much time, but that's my answer.
Definitely didn't take too much time. You took the space and the time that you deserve. Full stop. Thank you so much, Chanda. I appreciate that. So Chanda touched point on imposter syndrome. And at any point in the process, Chianti, did you come up against imposter syndrome, or what was the process for you submitting your proposal?
Yeah, definitely. I would say I definitely came against imposter syndrome, but I wouldn't even say it was necessarily in the application process, because during the application process, I was already building with Venture for Them for a while. So I was super confident in what we were building. And so I submitted mine early. I think you said the date is January 19th, right? So I submitted mine early, got some feedback back, and I think that really gave me some leverage in the application process. But at the same time, I admire like Chanda's willingness to say, let me just put this in right before the deadline and go for it, you know? So whichever way you lean to, just really make sure you believe in yourself, whether you get it early and get the feedback, or if you don't, you know, still make sure you believe in yourself, because the possibilities are limitless. But I would say my imposter syndrome really hit when I got before the big stages throughout the process. When we were at like the White House, and I'm in there sweating like, yo, this is a big deal, you know. So that's when it started to hit. Or when we were in the Bahamas, you know, in front of the Boulé, or at JP Morgan in New York, I feel like that's when the imposter syndrome started to really set in, because now I'm like, okay, we're here. Like, this is where we can lock in mentors, investors. And so that's where mine started to set in. But I think what helped to alleviate it is just the love and support. You know, nobody was up there. We got great questions, but it wasn't to break us down. It were, you know, great questions to help build us up, you know, for us to think about, okay, I got this question at JP Morgan. So now when I go to the White House, I'm gonna probably get this question. So let me refine my pitch a bit better. Let me refine my presentation a bit better. So it was all constructive, very constructive, and all done in love. And so from each experience, as I saw that, you know, like, okay, they're not just out to get me and rip me apart. It was just all love and support that helped me feel better about things. So when I did get to a big stage, like in the Bahamas, in front of the Boulé, just the amount of support, you just seen everybody in the audience that showed up, you know, I still felt a bit more relaxed, still, you know, ready, game time, focused, but less nervous and more of like, okay, let me show up, you know, here's where all the preparation is to come in. And so that's where mine came in, but that's how I kind of got over that hurdle.
Thank you, Keontae. And I would encourage everyone that's here, please put any questions you have for our Alpha cohort in the chat. They are willing and able to answer any questions you may have. As you can tell, they're very forthright in their experiences that we so appreciate. Now, I do have a question for Keontae and Chanda. If there was any opportunities for growth that we can prepare for year 2, what would that look like? Put you on a hot seat. It's all for growth, so we can make the experience even better for year 2 and the years.
Well, for one to say, it's an amazing program. It's an amazing program. Let me start with that. I don't have a lot of things of growth, but I would say one thing that I would like to see for cohort 2 is maybe that I think would help them out is maybe if they come in with like a designated mentor or something like that. Granted, I think the Alpha cohort would be very willing too. I know Chanda has said she's taking some people under her wing and coaching. So I think that would be cool to kind of have a designated mentor. Now that we've kicked off our Alpha cohort already, I think that would be cool because through the program, we did network ourselves into mentors. And I know Mr. Taylor and so many of the others were able to connect me to mentors. But I think it would be cool to also maybe have a designated mentor to kind of take you under your wing, maybe if it's somebody who's been at the different events that you've been to, whether it's ELC, White House, or so forth, or maybe just somebody who didn't even show up to any of those, but maybe you guys know it's just great for their specific industry. I think that could be awesome, but that's really the only thing I can think of. I think that you guys have executed this program in amazing ways, and I'm excited for the beta cohort.
Thank you, Keontae. I know I was taking notes. I know President Jones was taking notes. We definitely love fostering, creating community around this challenge. So every way that we can do that, we're definitely excited to do so. And thank you for your willingness to be a part of that journey.
If I can jump in real quick, it looks like Archon Bender also wanted to ask if you want to include this, Chanda, if there's anything you guys would do differently this if you were to do it again too. Any lessons you learned that you might have changed, but sorry, go ahead.
If I could do something differently, I think I would have tried to form a team. Only because, like, so far, like in the competition, I was successful by myself. But I think if I had a team, like I have a board of advisors, but I don't have like a co-founder, for instance. And I think I would have tried a little harder to find someone to like form a team with, just because I think it would have helped. I don't know. I want to make sure I'm answering this well. Just because I feel like when you have a strong, solid team, it can help your project go further. And doing things on your own is fine, but eventually you're going to hit a roadblock, and you're going to need someone to help you get over those obstacles. And so having someone like a co-founder who helps me like practice my pitch or research my problem and solution better, I think would have helped. But I mean, like, I did well on my own, but I definitely think like having a mentor from the start that I could really count on would have been beneficial. But now I have so many mentors, it's fine. I've definitely gained a lot of mentors from this opportunity. But yeah, if there's something I can change about the competition for the new cohort, I don't know. Honestly, I thought everything was perfect. I really can't think of anything that I would change. Maybe have more downtime, because it did feel sometimes like really like go 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 go, and like I get that that's kind of like the way entrepreneurship works, is that like you're in a meeting, you're out of that meeting, you're into the next meeting. But I think it would have been nice if we had more downtime to really get to know each other better, because like when you participate in this competition, you're becoming part of the tribe, like I mentioned before, and like I feel like these are lifelong friends that I'm gonna have like forever, and like we're gonna keep checking on each other to see like how we're doing in our careers and seeing where we can help each other. And like definitely like if Microhaven becomes successful, I'm gonna find a way to help Keontae and Jasmine and Nova with their adventures. And like I feel like that's one thing I would change, is just finding ways to like create a tighter knit community between like cohorts. But like we said, like this competition is relatively new, and so it's all a learning experience. And so I imagine that is it the Bravo cohort? The Bravo cohort is going to be super close and like super tight knit. And you guys can always come to us if you need advice, and we'll look out for you, because we're like your big brothers and sisters. Yeah.
That's sweet. Thanks so much, Shanda. I don't know if you saw it, Gabby, we had another pretty cool question in the top of the Q&A. Someone who said that they were newish to STEM was wondering how sort of developed or detailed their idea has to be. And maybe we could just reassure them and set some expectations that we're not asking them to like solve something incredibly complicated, but that they can have a more conceptual idea. Any thoughts there, Gabrielle, or anyone else?
I would just say, yes, thank you, Shane, exactly right. We're not requiring that you are majors in STEM or that you have an in-depth STEM background. And we're more so looking at the social impact of your proposal, as opposed to, you creating or solving a formula. That's not where we're here to really ask you. It's more of on a social scale. How can you bring economic parity to Black America, and what your proposal look like? Now, if you have that knowledge of, you have a specific solution and you want to create it, and there's a chemical formula that you have, by all means, please provide that. That's excellent. We're not going to create caps on what you can show us, but please understand that what we're really looking for is, what's the social impact, and like how can we make change for tomorrow? And I'll pass it over to President Jones, who can answer that question a little bit more, if I've missed anything or she wants to add something that's really valuable, because I know
I would say ditto to what you and Shane have both responded with, Gabby. Also, consider that for those things that are not completely fleshed out, if you can provide enough of a conceptual kind of idea and timelines and actions that may be taken, as well as potential partners. That is part of why you're here, because when you go on your pitches, you will find mentors, advisors, kind of like Chanda said, and potential partners that will help you develop these ideas. Chanda talked about her idea being around homelessness, but she didn't really expound upon the other side of it, which leverages blockchain to help achieve some of her idea relative to that. Jasmine Backus is not here right now, but her idea in the metaverse, and it's actually a three-pronged approach, using fashion design, as well as the metaverse and blockchain and the digital twin that Keontae mentioned earlier, to achieve her idea. Great idea, fabulous. But she doesn't know all that there is to know about the metaverse, or for designing a handbag for that matter. So this is where your idea is kind of developed enough that we can also plug and play and help you kind of get those pieces in place to further flesh it out.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, President Jones. Exactly. So she gave you a brief synopsis of kind of who our alpha cohort are, their projects. And if you notice, there are definitely STEM attributes to their solution, but they were coming with the framework, and they were meeting with members of organizations and companies that have this detailed knowledge that could help them propel forward. And what we saw a lot of the times during the pitch were questions that the audience were asking them that helped them further progress their business ideas and like further flesh out their proposals. So yes, and I think yes, Al Bunshaft, member of our board at Base 11, he said it's all about the impact that your idea will have. Simple ideas are often the most profound, and that is so true. So if we have any more questions, I'm not sure if we have anyone who wants to come up as a panelist that we've shared with our board.
I have invited Doug Bender to come up as a panelist as well. I don't know that he's able to. I don't think that it worked for him. I did have one ad just briefly, Gabby, if you don't mind. And I know that we asked the Alpha cohort if they would have any changes or would have done anything different relative to their experience in the program. I will say that what we've noticed is our finalists did get less mentorship or follow-on as opposed to the grand prize winners. And this year we're aiming to at least provide a little more for them, even if it's just mentorship in terms of developing their idea more. They will get, as Gabby went over the prizes, some financial reward, even though they won't be able to go on the trips. But Keontae touched on this, and I think that we have throughout. The mentorship is extremely valuable. So if we can give that to our finalists this year, that's a change that that we're striving to at least make.
Yes, indeed. And so as President Jones said, and as also Chanda said, this is year 2 of 10. So each year we'll get better and better, and we look forward to creating a space where there's dialogue on both, right? From everyone, not even, there's no sides, just everyone having open dialogue on how to make this experience better. But then ultimately the end game is creating solutions that are innovative for the future to make real change. So I'm just so grateful. We're so excited. I know we're about to hit at 6, but if there's any questions that we may have not touched on, or you have any additional questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A. Also, I will send you an email. My email address is on the HeroX website too. You can feel free to contact me. Before we go, I would love if we could have the Alpha cohort describe how you can get in contact with them if you have any professional questions about the challenge or professional life in general. I would love to give them the stage.
And I'll just add that on the challenge page, there's a forum tab. So you're also always welcome, if you don't have the info, to just go there, post your question, and one of us on this call right here will probably respond to you. So please go for it.